I thought I knew him, but I had no idea, Emily whispered to herself as she stood there, her heart pounding in her chest. Just hours earlier, she had been at her fiancé Ryan's side, laughing with her family at a small get-together. Everything seemed perfect, until her sister Chloe's words hit her like a thunderbolt. He's a playboy, Emily. He'll never take you seriously. Those words echoed in her mind, lingering in the air, making her question everything she thought she knew about Ryan. It wasn't the first time Chloe had made comments about Ryan's past, but this time, something in her sister's eyes told her it was different. Emily had always defended him, chalking it up to jealousy or misplaced concerns, but now she wasn't so sure. Why would Chloe say that? And why did it feel like there was something more she wasn't seeing? Emily's mind raced. She had to know the truth. She decided to confront Ryan, but not before doing something Chloe would never expect. Emily wasn't the type to jump to conclusions, but for once, she couldn't shake the feeling that she was being lied to. As the night fell, Emily pulled out her phone and began searching through Ryan's past, determined to find the truth, no matter how painful it might be. What she uncovered shocked her more than she could have imagined. The truth was more complicated than she had ever expected, and now nothing would ever be the same. She couldn't just ignore it anymore. She had to face it, even if it meant confronting Ryan about everything. Emily couldn't sleep that night. Her mind was a whirlwind of thoughts, replaying Chloe's words over and over again. Playboy. The accusation felt like a dagger, one she didn't want to believe. She paced her bedroom, glancing at the photo of Ryan and herself on their last vacation together, both smiling, happy, carefree. Was it all a lie? She sat down at her desk, her fingers trembling as she opened her laptop. She hesitated for a moment before typing Ryan's name into the search bar. What was she hoping to find? She didn't know, but she had to look. As the search results loaded, she felt her heart race. There were stories, pictures, and old connections she didn't recognize. The past she thought Ryan had left behind wasn't as distant as she'd believed. She clicked on one link, her eyes widening as she read the words on the screen. It was about a party, a woman from his past. Her mind began to race. Why hadn't Ryan told her about this? Why hadn't he been open with her? As the page loaded, the truth hit her like a cold wave. She stared at the screen, stunned. Ryan had been hiding something far bigger than she had imagined. She closed the laptop, feeling a sickening twist in her stomach. The man she loved was not the man she thought he was. Emily stared at the laptop, her heart pounding in her chest. She had hoped it was just a misunderstanding, but now the truth seemed undeniable. The photo of Ryan at the party with another woman, a woman who was clearly more than just a friend, stared back at her. The woman was smiling, holding on to Ryan's arm, and in the caption, it mentioned a long-standing relationship. It wasn't just a fling or something from his past that was long over. This woman had been in his life more recently than Emily had ever been told. A sharp pain twisted in her gut as the realization hit. She had trusted him, believed in their future together. How could he have kept this from her? Her thoughts raced as she tried to process what this meant for them. The man she had pictured spending the rest of her life with, the man she loved, had secrets he had never shared. The words from Chloe echoed in her mind, he's a playboy. At first, Emily had dismissed them as jealousy, but now, she couldn't ignore the possibility that maybe Chloe had seen something she hadn't. Her emotions were a mix of anger, confusion, and hurt. She had to confront Ryan. She couldn't let this go unanswered. It was time to face the truth, no matter how painful it might be. Emily's hands trembled as she picked up the phone, her finger hovering over Ryan's contact. The weight of what she had discovered sat heavy in her chest, but she knew she couldn't keep avoiding the conversation any longer. She needed answers. Her heart raced as she dialed his number, the phone ringing endlessly in her ear. Finally, his voice answered. "Hey, babe," Ryan said, sounding as calm and collected as always. "Ryan, we need to Talk, Emily replied, her voice steady despite the storm of emotions inside her. There was a brief pause before he spoke again, this time his tone more serious. What's wrong? I found something, she said, her words laced with a mixture of hurt and disbelief. She could hear him shift on the other end, the calmness now replaced with tension. What did you find? He asked, his voice softer. I saw the photo, Emily said, feeling the sting of every word. Why didn't you tell me about her? There was a long silence. Emily could practically feel him scrambling for words. Finally, Ryan spoke, his voice quieter now. Emily, I didn't want to hurt you. I didn't think it mattered. It was a long time ago. Emily shook her head, her breath shaky. It matters now. Emily took a deep breath, trying to steady herself. Ryan's words still echoed in her mind, but the calm facade he had tried to maintain was starting to crack. I didn't think it mattered, he had said. But to Emily, it mattered more than anything. She had spent so much time trusting him, loving him, believing he was the one who would never hurt her. And now, it felt like everything was falling apart. You're not being honest with me, Emily said, her voice sharp but calm. You say it was a long time ago, but I don't believe that. Why didn't you tell me? Ryan's silence lingered, filling the space between them like a heavy fog. Finally, he spoke, his voice barely above a whisper. I was scared. I didn't want you to think I was just like them. The guys who use women, who play with their hearts. Emily could hear the vulnerability in his voice, and for a moment, a part of her wanted to comfort him. But the truth was, she couldn't shake the feeling that he had been hiding more than just his past. She closed her eyes, trying to block out the pain. I need time to think, she whispered. I need to figure out what this all means for us. Emily sat on the edge of her bed, staring at her phone as it lay in her hands, the screen glowing faintly in the darkness. She hadn't heard from Ryan since their conversation hours ago. The silence felt heavier now, each passing minute stretching into what felt like hours. She wanted answers, but more than that, she needed clarity. Was she just another chapter in his long list of flings, or could he truly be the man she had fallen in love with? The questions swirled in her mind like a storm, each one more suffocating than the last. She had always believed that trust was the foundation of love, but now she wasn't sure if she could trust herself. Had she overlooked too many signs? The vulnerability in Ryan's voice haunted her. She had never heard him so raw, so unsure. She had always seen him as the confident, charming man who had swept her off her feet. But now, she wondered if that was just a mask, a defense mechanism to hide his true self. She closed her eyes and took a deep breath, trying to steady her racing heart. She needed to talk to Chloe. It was time to confront her sister, to find out if the warning signs were real or just jealousy. Emily knew she couldn't move forward without answers, and she wasn't about to let this feeling of uncertainty linger any longer. Emily picked up her phone and dialed Chloe's number, her hands shaking slightly. She wasn't sure what she was expecting, but she needed answers. The phone rang a few times before Chloe picked up, her voice light and unsuspecting. Hey, what's up? Emily took a deep breath. I need to talk to you, Chloe. It's about Ryan. There was a pause on the other end. Ryan? What about him? Chloe asked, her tone now shifting to something more guarded. Emily felt the tension in the air. You've always had your doubts about him, right? She asked, trying to keep her voice steady. Chloe hesitated before speaking again, her words coming out carefully. I just don't trust him, Em. I never have. He's charming, but that doesn't mean he's sincere. Emily clenched her fist, her emotions starting to boil over. I need you to be honest with me, Chloe. Did you know about his past? About the woman I found in those photos? Another long pause. Emily, I wasn't sure how to tell you. I didn't want to ruin things for you, but, yes, I knew. He's had a history with women, a lot of it, and I was just trying to protect you from getting hurt. The words hit Emily like a cold wave. She had suspected something, but hearing it from Chloe made it real. She felt a lump form in her throat, fighting the tears. "Why didn't you tell me sooner?" she asked, her voice breaking slightly. "I didn't want to hurt you. I just wanted you to be happy," Chloe replied softly. Emily exhaled sharply, feeling both betrayed and heartbroken. She had to make a choice now, and it wasn't going to be easy. Emily hung up the phone, her mind racing. Chloe's words echoed in her ears, and the weight of everything she had learned was starting to sink in. She had always trusted Ryan, believed in him, but now it felt like the ground beneath her was shifting. She sat on the edge of the bed, staring at the wall, trying to gather her thoughts. Her heart ached, torn between the man she loved and the reality that had just been laid bare before her. She couldn't ignore it anymore. Chloe had warned her, and now the truth about Ryan's past was out in the open. Emily had always believed that love meant standing by each other, no matter what. But now she wasn't sure if standing by him was the right thing to do. The love she felt for Ryan hadn't changed, but the trust had. She needed to find a way to move forward, but she couldn't shake the feeling that the relationship she had with him wasn't as solid as she thought. Was she making excuses for him? Had she been blind to the red flags that were now so clear? Her mind kept going in circles, and the uncertainty gnawed at her. She had to see Ryan, confront him face to face. She needed to hear his side of the story, and for the first time, Emily realized that her future might not look the way she had always imagined. Emily sat in the cafe, her fingers wrapped tightly around her coffee cup, waiting for Ryan to arrive. She had spent hours thinking about everything, his past, her feelings, the future they had planned. Part of her wanted to believe him, to forgive him for what he had hidden from her. But the trust was gone, and she knew that rebuilding it wouldn't be easy. As Ryan walked through the door, their eyes met, and for a moment, it felt like time stood still. He smiled softly, but there was a hesitation in his eyes, a nervousness he hadn't shown before. Emily took a deep breath and stood up, ready to face the man she had once thought she knew so well. "We need to talk," she said, her voice calm but firm. Ryan nodded, his expression falling as he took a seat across from her. "I know," he whispered, his voice low. "I'm sorry, Emily. I never wanted to hurt you." She looked at him for a long moment, trying to find the right words. "Then why didn't you tell me the truth?" she asked, her voice trembling slightly. Ryan ran a hand through his hair, looking down. "I was afraid that if you knew the truth, you'd leave me. But I never meant to deceive you. I just didn't know how to tell you about my past." Emily sat back, processing his words. The anger, the hurt, the confusion, they were all still there, but now there was something else too. A small part of her wanted to forgive him. But the question remained, was she strong enough to move forward with him, or was this the end of their story?